Okay, item 4, new business, the 2016-2017 calendar. Any?
Is that in the packet?
No, it's under new business. He's gonna give you the information now.
What I brought was just simply a copy of the current calendar that we are going under. And like I said, this is just the current school calendar for this school year.
Thank you.
And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk about this school year, because we've gotta make some decisions, or you guys as a board have to make some decisions on this school year calendar and the adjustments that we need to make. And then I also, while I'm here today, wanna talk to you about next year's school calendar and just give you an update on that. Today was the 7th day of school that we have missed this year. So we've missed 7 complete days of school. We do have to now make up day for day. So we have to make up 7 school days as of right now, the way we stand right now. The way that we would recommend to this board to make them up is, as you're looking at the current calendar, the 15-16 school year calendar, the purple OS days that you'll see down on March 11th and March 18th, they're Fridays and they're purple. They're OS days, outside of the school environment days. Those were purposely built in the calendar as makeup days.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make up those 2 days and use those as 2 of the 7 that we need to make up. Then as you go on through March, you'll see spring break there. Now the Friday and the Monday are protected. We can't use those as makeup days. So our folks, our staff, our students are guaranteed a long weekend. But you see, starting on March 29th to April 1st there, the Tuesday through Friday, and then it is spring break. We would recommend we use those 4 days also. That would give you a total of 6 makeup days to that point if you as a board chose to do that. The 7th, we would go down to May 9th. It's on the bottom line, it's green, it's currently labeled as a CE day on May 9th. We would also recommend making that the 7th day, and at this point, catching us up on makeup days. What this would do is not have our students in school any longer. We would still get out on the original date, the last day for students, which would be May 26th, assuming we miss no more school. If this board voted for that, at this point, that would be the students' last day. Any snow day, just so you know, any snow day from this point forward, we'd have no other choice but to add a day. We just start adding a day at the end. If this board chose to use those 7 as the 7 makeup days for where we currently stand. We have visited with Lewis County on this. That is exactly how Lewis County plans to make up their days. Now Lewis has missed 2 more than us. They currently miss 9 days of school. But their first 7 that they will make up, which they share this identical calendar, their first 7 that they make up will be the 7 that we are recommending to you. The March 11th and 18th, the 4 days during spring break, and then the May 9th day. If we had teachers that still had CE, we think right now about 95% of our teachers have finished their CE. They have to have 18 hours professional development each year. Nancy Minnie keeps track of that. I did not check with her today before I came, but usually we just have a handful of people at this point in the school year that may not have their time in. If there are teachers in that situation, we would put the CE day for teachers at the end of the year, and we would offer them CE to complete their 18 hours. We would still, on that May 9th day, there is also a faculty senate day planned on that May 9th. We would have to have an early release or a 2-hour delay to allow for that faculty senate time on that May 9th. But that's to catch you up on this year's school calendar, where we stand right now. And that's all I had about this school calendar, 15-16. Any
Well,
questions?
We'll need a motion and second it, and make a motion to pass.
approve this recommendation.
Approve
I
the
have a
changes, yeah.
question for,
Okay.
Mrs. Hurley?
during the calendar approval, I was at those meetings, wasn't there a discussion with the faculty about spring break in the event that we had more snow days than anticipated, that we may have to take some time off of spring break?
You are. 29th, 30th, 31st, and 1st.
Taking 4 days.
Taking 4 days off spring break.
Okay, so the 29th, 30th, 30th.
Yeah, this is your spring break, they're gonna give them that.
I may not have
Take
done a
that
very
as
good job
spring break, So
explaining.
they're gonna take these
Uh,
4 days.
do we have a motion to support, the recommendation?
Dr.
That
Elmer
sounds
may
like
have a
spring
question.
time, but anyway.
Maybe this is an inappropriate time to ask us, but I
Taking that.
am on the board at the Career Center, and I just have a question. Are we in sync with what they're doing down there to Covers?
The board, the Calhoun Career Center adopted our calendar.
Okay,
We invited Calhoun to go with us. We showed them our calendar.
right.
They adopted their own calendar. So I don't know where we sync with their calendar, but this is
But
where
we're
the
okay.
Career Center goes with our calendar.
Okay, that's,
Okay, now,
Thank you.
do we have a motion to approve the recommendation as presented by Mr. Frazier?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Okay.
Okay, now if you don't mind, I'll take a few more minutes of your time to discuss, and I see my dates are wrong on there, so, next year's school calendar. All right, 16, 17. I don't have any copies or anything because it's not made yet. That's part of the point of me being here, just to give you information about how we make a calendar, rules that we have to follow in making a calendar, and then certain meetings that have to take place to give anybody that might be interested a chance to give input on the school calendar. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and get into that. Mr. Devon and I met on January 27th with Barber, Upshur, and Lewis to have our first meeting to discuss next year's school calendar. The reason Barber and Upshur are there is because they share a very strong interest to have the same calendar as Lewis County because of their shared career center. We invited Calhoun to come, and their superintendent was very receptive, appreciated us inviting him to come. Obviously, we have a strong desire to share the same calendar with Calhoun because of our career center. So really, we are trying to get 5 counties to agree on one calendar. And it is tough, but last year, or this school year, we have 4 that have one calendar, so I do think it's possible, and Calhoun seems very receptive. Unfortunately, the day of the 27th, the day of the meeting, they were not able to attend. I didn't get into it, I didn't ask any questions, they just could not come. They did ask us to pass along the information from that meeting to them, and we will do that. Again, we do share a strong desire to have the same calendar as not only the Career Center, but Calhoun County Schools. What I'm going to do is just show you a very short slideshow. I think it's 9 slides, and just some of the basic rules that we have to, or guidelines that we have to go by when making a school calendar. The first thing is the instructional term. We must provide 180 separate days of instruction. The employment term is longer. The beginning and closing days of the minimum 200-day employment term shall be within 48 weeks. So the minimum employment term for our staff is 200 days. And we've got 48 weeks to get that 200 days in. The employment term consists of no less than 180 separate instructional days. This changed just a couple of years ago where they make you now attend 180 days of school. It used to be if we got 175 in, 172 in, we didn't have to make up every day. Now you have to make up 180 days. If I'm going too fast, just slow me down. Of that 200-day employment term, 180 are instructional days. 7 would be paid holidays. 1 is the election day, and you have 6 OS days. That will get you to the 194. There are 6 days to be remained. You'll see them over on the right side of the slide. Those 6 days consist of the teacher prep for opening and closing school. Usually we have 1 prep day at the beginning, 1 prep day at the end. Professional development days, parent-teacher conference days, and curriculum development. That's how we make up the 200-day employment term. We are required to provide professional and service, staff development, 18 hours a year. So that's a requirement, that our professionals and our service folks have to get in 18 hours a year. Those are those CE days that you're seeing on that calendar. That's how we're getting the 18 hours in. We're doing that on those CE days. Also, the local board, we have to provide a 2-hour block that is faculty senate. We have to do that on the day scheduled for the open of school prior to the beginning of the instructional term, and a 2-hour block of time on a non-instructional day 4 additional times a year. So we have to have those 5 faculty senate meetings a year. And they have to be scheduled at least once every 45 days. The portion of the non-instructional day scheduled for faculty senate meetings shall be considered as part of the purpose for which the non-instructional day is scheduled. The county board must schedule instruction on any available non-instructional day other than the 7 holidays or election day, or use any out-of-calendar day. No longer are you required to use the non-instructional day. The Board of Education may choose to use non-instructional day for its original purpose. When an out-of-calendar day is used as a makeup day, the canceled instructional day becomes the out-of-calendar day, the non-paid day. Kind of switching days. I figured a question would come up on 2-hour delays and early dismissals. How are we making up that time? We're making up 2-hour delays and early dismissals with accrued time. We are required to have our kids in school for so many minutes a day. And if our schools are going over that time, that required time, that's the accrued time. We also call it bank time. And we build that each day. I keep track of that, where we stand on that on the calendar, and I build that each day. So 2-hour delays and early dismissals, we won't be making up, a full day. We'll use that bank time, and at the end, hopefully, we've never not had enough at the end. We've never not had enough bank time to hurt us at the end.
This is where all the problem lies, when people think you miss so many days that you can use as secure time to count those as days, so you don't have to make up days. But this calendar is based on days, not minutes. The one that's going through legislature now is based up on minutes. So if it's on minutes, then at the end of the year, if we have a couple days that we have enough minutes that amount to 2 days or a day, we can take that as a day off, or we don't have to add anything on. We can take it as a day lost.
Can we
That's
carry
what's
that
going
back
through.
time year to year?
No.
No,
It just has to be used within that year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But right now, basically in simple terms, we trade a day for a day. If we close a day, we have to make up a day.
Yeah.
But that bank time is taking care of our 2-hour delays and our early dismissals.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
I don't know if this is a good time to ask or not.
It's fine for me.
Now, the 4 counties we're tied in with, I can easily see, because of our topographical areas, particularly Barber County and Upshur County, into that, where they could close their school, and it seems like Lewis County is following them. But we may not need to close it all. Have we got,
Good question.
have we got a plan that our buses will go ahead and run, that just won't pick up those Leading Creek?
The way-
No, you won't
Good
get it.
question.
What has happened is, when the governance committee met over, let's take Leading Creek.
Right.
When the governance committee with Leading Creek, at one time, we were looking at, if Lewis County closes, they close. If Gilmer County closes, Leading Creek closes. That's what we're gonna do. But when we met, Lewis County has a policy that if we close and they don't, that those kids or students that go to Leading Creek, if they can't get there, they'll give them an excuse absence to make the work up and everything, and that way they'll get their days in. They make all their employees show up at the school, no matter, if it's snow days, you're there at 8 o'clock. If we're in school, you be there at 8 o'clock. The governance committee, when we decided that that's, because our policy anyhow has to go, we make a recommendation, it has to go to Lewis County Board to be approved anyhow. So we just decided our two votes go with
Yeah.
what Lewis County was,
Yeah,
because it would've been a 2-2, and then Lewis County Board would overrode what we said. But the thing of it is, it's right now, the way it is, it worked like a couple times they've closed before us. If not, we would have to run buses that would probably end up costing us additional funds, well, will cost us additional funds. So when Dr. Sim and I talked about it, if that's the way they wanna run it, let them run it that way, because they are really their students,
mhm,
and they'll have to get the 180 days in, or they'll have to work with the county on somehow with those students. But that's the way they're running the part of Leading Creek.
But I was just wondering, like the bus
Yes.
comes through there, and you got kids standing out there, they don't realize, well,
What-
comes the school
What do you
bus,
do?
I better climb on the bus, and
There's-
Leading Creek is closed.
What-
Right. There's a
we-
call-out system.
Yeah.
You go
Okay.
ahead.
That's all right.
There's a call-out system we have. We asked that we get the kids' names, so we make sure we're calling our own kids. Well, the Gilmer County students, they go to Leading Creek, to make sure they know not to come out and meet the bus. Our bus drivers know if somebody's at the bus stop that goes to Leading Creek, hey, you don't have school today, and stuff like that. So we're trying everything on our side to make sure our students don't mount the bus.
Our bus drivers, right now, the way things are, will always follow our schedule. If we're delayed, our driver's delayed. Even if Leading Creek goes normal, our drivers are delayed. If we go normal and Leading Creek is delayed, our drivers are running normal. That's where Mr. Devano hit on the fact, on 2-hour delays, their staff does report normal. Their staff does not operate on a 2-hour delay. So that's why we're able to do that. There is staff in the building. To Mr. Ratliff's point, like I said earlier, we have missed 7 days right now. Lewis County has missed 9. So right now, the way we stand, Lewis County will make up 2 days that we will not. And basically, the only 2 days they can do that, you've got to look at the end of that calendar I've given you, and you're probably looking at the 27th of May and the 31st of May. And they're going to run those 2 days. Now, and right now, currently, we would not run our school buses unless something changes before now or then. Obviously, if we did run our school buses, our drivers would be working over their contract, and our drivers would need to be paid. If something between now and then changes and we do run them, our drivers would need to be paid.
Yeah.
Would that be
40
paid through our system?
Well, that's a great question,
Okay.
and probably for you guys and Lewis County's board to iron out who would actually pay. Right now, I would have to answer when I'm running our buses, so that we wouldn't have the issue paying. Unfortunate for those kids, though, they wouldn't have transportation to school unless their parents take them. Now, it would be an excused absence for them if they don't go. But currently, unless something would change, they would make up 2 days that we would not run buses.
You saw the slide of 48 weeks, that deals with your service personnel. Because when they were doing 180 days, at one time, the service personnel couldn't work more than 45 weeks. They would wipe that out, but somehow, when the calendar got down to a point, they went to 48 weeks. So after 48 weeks, you cannot work your personnel, your service personnel.
What's that, right?
I can assure you, it's a fun time of year to be a superintendent or a transportation director. And like Tom said, with just the different areas, even in our county, the difference in weather is unbelievable. The other morning, I called Rodney Pettit with the state road to see what he thinks and what his guys are telling him. Well, Joe, one end of the county you got 3 inches of snow. The other end you didn't get touched. And even in our own county, it varies greatly. I will assure you, we have communication with Calhoun and Lewis County before every decision we make. And when it makes sense, we do try to go and stay together. Obviously, I think just because of geographical locations and things like that, we haven't always been on the same page. We've been close for as many decisions we've had to make this year. But I do talk to Lewis County and Calhoun County, and Mr. Navani does the same, before every decision we make regarding school. Sometimes we're on the same page and able to stay the same, and for different reasons and various reasons, sometimes we're not able to stay on the same page. But we do communicate before every decision. There's only a few people in the world I can call at 3:30 in the morning and talk to them about the weather. But Lewis and Calhoun are those people. Any more questions about, I just wanted to just give you some of the rules and guidelines. Now, if you don't mind, just take a couple more minutes just to hit on some of the high points of the January 27th meeting that Mr. Devine and I had with Barber, Lewis, and Upshur. And again, there's no calendar yet because we want input from everybody. It was really big for us this year. I know our high school liked it, and I know their schools liked it, for first semester to be over by Christmas break. Not to have it kind of hanging over everybody's heads and to come back and have a few days and finish. So that's a key with all 4 counties that were in attendance. They, again, with next year's calendar, would like for first semester to be over by Christmas break. To do that, and again, it's not set in stone or anything like that, we're just discussing, but doing the math back and to do that, we could be looking at the first day for staff on August 10th, the first day for students on August 15th. And that would be just 1 day difference from this year's calendar. So basically the same kind of start point as we had with this year's calendar, but just to be able to get enough. Now that first semester, if we did that, I think, and I haven't had it, would have 87 or 86 school days in it. Where the second semester would have, well, if it's 87, it would have 93 in it. If it's 86, it would have 94 in it. Okay? So the first semester would be just a few days shorter, which is the way this current calendar is this school year. We also, and it worked well, we sent out last year a survey to our staff about spring break. I know Mrs. Hurley brought that up earlier. That is a big thing. And we did have a meeting, and we did let everybody know that there's a chance spring break could be taken. All of our employees knew that. Mr. Devano made that clear, and we will probably continue to make that clear. But it wasn't popular with this calendar that we protected at least a long weekend, where you would have a Friday and a Monday, and you would have a long 4-day weekend, no matter what kind of weather we had. And all 4 counties, again, were in agreement with that in looking at next year's calendar, that it would be key, and everybody wanted to at least ensure a 4-day weekend there for the spring break or Easter. So that was something everybody was at again. They also liked the fact that on this year's calendar, we had those 2 Fridays built in, March 11th and 18th on this school year calendar with those OS days. Instead of just throwing them at the end of something, we would probably throw those in there again. Now again, those could be almost misleading. We will go on those days no matter what. If we didn't have a school day or snow day, we would go on those 2 Fridays. We just get out 2 days earlier at the end.
One thing you gotta do with the calendar, it makes you sound like you got all this and everything else like that, but they're already telling you where you're gonna put your, days for, beginning date, end date. We can do that, but they're also telling you, now, these are the holidays, this is where they go. You have your OS days, you can do what you wanna do with them, but it's like, then you have to have 45 days from your faculty senate. So it's almost, yay, you got the calendar, but this is the way it's going
We've got to wait a
come up.
little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have a little leeway of what you can do, mostly with the OS days.
Our next meeting with Lewis, Barber, and Upshur, and then we will definitely invite Calhoun and hope that they attend, because it just works better for us if Calhoun County, not just the Career Center, is the same calendar as us. We will invite them to attend the meeting as well. Our next meeting is February 26th. To discuss the calendar farther. Each county is sharing our ideas and our high points with their board, and then we'll all go back with feedback for our next meeting. Now, we do have to have 2 public hearings where we give any party interested in the school calendar an opportunity to give their say or their input. So what we've done, and it should be in the paper soon, but the first one would be on your next board meeting, March 21st. We would have the first one right before that board meeting. I believe you guys start at 6, and we'd have that at about 5:30 to give people a chance to come in and comment and give input on the calendar. So that would be the first. The next one would be April 11th. And again, I believe you guys are meeting in some form or fashion. For some reason, Mr. Devon would have to give you the updates of why you guys are meeting. But you guys are meeting on April 11th also. And I believe we would start at 5 o'clock on April 11th for the second public meeting to give anybody interested a chance to comment on our calendar. We have to have our calendar in to the state on May 2nd. So again, we have those, and you guys would be a part of those meetings and hear the input from anyone who attends. And then hopefully on April 19th might be a time that is put on the agenda. And we actually have a calendar on paper for you to look at. And it's put on the agenda for this board to make, to vote on the school calendar.
Well, he brought up a couple of dates. April the 11th is the LSIC meeting that we were having all those things. Talk to the principals, they wanna have a joint LSIC meeting with the 3 elementary schools. And combine them together, and if there's a choir, then all the kids from all 3 schools will sing. It's just a joint effort with that, so that's what we're gonna do with that. And then on April the 9th, you have to set, April the 19th, you have to set the levy rates, which we met one day early in the morning.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
we'll probably meet at 9 o'clock, because really, here you are again, this bill, or this directions, we have to meet after 9 o'clock and before 11 o'clock to vote on the calendar. It's, I don't know why they picked 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, but we couldn't meet at 8, so we'll have to meet at 9. We'll set the levy rates and then propose the calendar, you all make the calendar. That way-
Combine
Could
those.
you get Becky to send us out
I
email with
will,
all these dates?
yeah, and I wanted to make sure we run all the year on that.
Sorry about that, I didn't mean to
No,
do
no,
that.
it's okay, it's
No.
just helpful.
No, we will.
Any other questions?
Speaking for myself, I'd just like to compliment you for the command of the details. I feel very comfortable that this is in good hands.
Thank you.
The other thing I'd like to say, this is so complicated to try to remember, I didn't write it all down. Could you provide us with
Yeah.
a copy of what you had, just like you quoted the statutes and the like?
That's
This will come up again and again.
I'll just copy the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, if it didn't be
Yeah,
too
that's no
massive.
problem.
Yeah.
That's no problem. Any other questions about the calendar? Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Good job, thank you.
It's very complicated,
Good job.
Good job.
yeah.